right, I want to switch gears to this.
One of the former Memphis police officers convicted in the federal case in Tyre Nichols' death wants to be released from federal custody. This after a new judge has ordered a new trial. And Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre joining us live now from the federal courthouse. There have been more new filings in this case.
Yeah, let me tell you, today's hearing comes a day after Darius Bean, Justin Smith, and Demetrius Haley asked for their cases to be dropped completely. Now, Haley is due in court today. He, in the federal trial, got convicted of the most serious charges in the first federal trial and has been held in custody ever since. But now that a new trial, it's been ordered, he wants to be let out of prison until the new trial happens. That hearing is this afternoon. Another officer's hearing, Justin Smith, well, that hearing got delayed to next week. He and Darius Bean have both been wearing ankle monitors since the federal trial and say the tracking devices should be removed. And now the former officers, want their cases dropped completely. They'll be tried on the new charges they were found guilty of in the first trial, according to Judge Cheryl Lipman. Now, no update has been set for when that new trial will take place. Fox 13 will be in the courtroom this afternoon for that hearing. Stay with us on air and online all throughout the day. Of course, working right now to gather some information as to what else we could possibly see in this afternoon's hearing for Demetrius Haley.
You know, I spent hours and days and weeks in the federal courthouse and in the criminal court rooms of Memphis, Shelby County, Tennessee. I was a judge there, elected to 2 8-year terms, handling criminal cases. What's going on was being portrayed throughout the national media as though it was another example of racism. It wasn't, because everybody involved was black, well, most everybody. The district attorney, Stephen Mulroy, is not somebody grounded in a long career involving criminal justice. He was a law professor, a Democrat. And the charges were improvidently hurried when they were brought. In my 50 years of experience with the system in this area, it was the quickest set of indictments I've ever seen. It didn't even take a week. And as I spoke earlier, there's this light bulb that goes on that would explain what's going down is not allowed to happen. And it was a mess. Instead of charging in the state system first-degree murder in terms of the crime being murder in the perpetration of a designated felony, to-wit aggravated assault, Mulroy sought a second-degree murder indictment, which he got, but that became difficult to prove because the felony murder rule says if somebody commits a designated felony, one of them being aggravated assault, and a death negligently or recklessly occurs as a result, then it becomes murder in the first degree. What seems to have happened from the street allegations of which I am privy is that there was a multi-pronged, I would say, romantic situation that developed that involved the 5 officers in question, who were also members of the same fraternal organization, allegedly, and that the victim had been allegedly having an affair with several of the wives or girlfriends of the officers involved. There was a pre-existing visit, and and a rejection of the demands. And then there was retaliation, where there was a specific hunt for this individual, though the media carried this as a horrible instance of random police citizen contact, which does not seem to be the case according to the allegations that are out there. We've even got a collusion going on with the lawsuit itself. We've got a plaintiff who, under Tennessee law, because of putting the deceased Tyre Nichols up for adoption as an infant, is deprived of all parental rights and forms of redress. And that devolves into the adoptive parents, who have lost their statute of limitations window to file a lawsuit, but a person who has no standing has been named. The Madam Chief Do Nothing Davis, as she is sometimes known in Memphis, with Poppin' Fresh Doughboy Jim Strickland, the former mayor, attempted to confess the city into liability for $550 million, which, as things go, is likely to be shared under the table according to allegations. And that's not good to perpetrate that mythology. Let's see, Chicken George, Al Sharpton showed up, Hyena Harris showed up to campaign, and they make a big deal of it. But the case is a mess. And that's because of ineptitude and political correctness rather than dealing with the matter as a point of law. And the press does not deal with the fact that it's not racism. The police department seems to be about 75% black. The sheriff's department seems to have the same percentage. The chief of police is a black female who was fired from Atlanta for criminal wrongdoing or allegations, which have been glossed over into just administrative allegations. Same problem in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. We're on the horizon, but she got hired as the first civil service chief in Memphis in 41 years. Let's see, what else? The sheriff has had 60, going on 65 homicides in pretrial detention, which are greatly in excess of the 10 or 12 that took place in the 40 years before he took office. We've got 60% of the criminal court judges are black and female. 75% of the jury pool is black, and that includes the grand jurors. The city council, with very few exceptions, is almost all black, as is the county board of education, as is the county commission. The county mayor is black. The city mayor is black. So where is the racism in all of this? Oh, the nebulous, mysterious people behind all of this. Well, that's got to do with the corruption, but not the day-to-day impact on the citizenry. That's just incompetence for the job. So this is being used as a set piece to establish a propaganda point that is not a reality. So we've got a real live mess here in Memphis. And in spite of this absolute black dominance and control of the means and mechanism of dealing with criminality, Memphis is, by any metric, the most dangerous city in the United States, with the highest murder toll. It is the 10th most dangerous city in the whole world. And it has the largest population administered by black administrators in the whole of the United States of America, and it's doing the worst. So what is it that goes together with that? There are all kinds of things wrong with this situation. The family that raised Tyre Nichols had 2 years as a statute of limitations. Used to be just 1 year. But if you were in California or New York and you squeezed some ass 50 years ago, the statute of limitations has been revived against you so somebody can prosecute you or sue you civilly. But when there is a death, a homicide, you have 1 to 2 years in just about all of America. What's wrong with this picture? See, this political correctness that has been propagandized for the public to the extent that they have become acclimated to it, so it has become internalized. We need hate crime. Oh, we need to redress these grievances. And then there's this thing about nobody's ever supposed to move on with their lives. They're supposed to maintain a perpetual view of being the victim, whether it's of a butt pinch 46 years ago or whether it's something that happened 160 years ago. You're never supposed to get over the victimhood aspect, even if you weren't the victim, to somebody remotely connected to you.